Hello again. My name is Richard Spencer and I'm the Heritage Woodturner. Today we're going to look at something a little bit different. I have a mango bowl here. It's one of my favorite pieces. The wood was just incredibly stunning. But we're not going to talk about the bowl itself today. What I want to talk about is the bottom of the bowl. I do something that I have seen very few people. Well, to be perfectly honest, I've seen no one do it. But I put an O-ring on the bottom of the bowl. It does two things. It protects the piece when you set it down, and it protects whatever you're setting it on. And when most bowls hit a table, there's a distinctive clink. This doesn't, because you're hitting the rubber O-ring. And I'm going to show you how to install that today. And if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that big red subscribe button down in the lower right-hand corner. It helps people like me, it encourages people like me to keep making videos so you can learn something new. And we'll get right to this O-ring in just a moment. Well, now I think we're ready to start. Now this is the O-ring I'll be using. Now this is 3/16 in thickness. It's 2 3/8 in the outside diameter, and it's 2 inches inside. And it's just about the right size to put on a bowl this size. Now, the first thing you do is attach your bowl to the chuck on a worm screw. And this is pretty much standard procedure. And to give myself a little bit more leverage, I like to use my chuck key to give me the extra leverage to get it up tight. You want to make sure that the bottom of the bowl is in contact with the chuck jaws all the way around. And that way you're guaranteed that it's square. Now, I don't have a lot of thickness here, so I don't want to lose a ½ an inch or so putting a tenon. And I've never been real wild about attaching a chuck to a recess. It's just too easy for it to break out. Lots of people do it, and it's okay. I just prefer to do it a different way. Now, what I would like to do is put a sacrificial on the bottom of the bowl. And then I can turn my tenon on the sacrificial. And when I'm finished with it, I just cut it off. And then I've not lost any of the thickness for my bowl. Now, this particular sacrificial is going to be just big enough so that I can still turn the inside diameter of that O-ring. But before I can do that, I need to get enough of the bottom flat enough to where I can attach the sacrificial. So I'm going to take this down just a little bit. And that's going to be big enough. But I need to be sure that everything under here is completely flat. So when I put the sacrificial on it, I'm going to have a good glue joint. So what I like to do is just take a flat piece of wood. This particular one is 3/4 Baltic birch plywood. And I've got some 120 sandpaper. And this will just allow me to get that bottom flat. When you put a flat piece of wood against the bottom of a spinning bowl blank, it simply has to make it flat. And that's enough for me to attach the sacrificial. Now, getting the sacrificial on is incredibly important. It needs to be centered, of course, because you're going to use this when you turn it around and chuck it up to turn the inside of the bowl. Now, the way I like to do it is with a device like this. This is called a reverse chucking adapter. It has a number 2 Morse taper that will go in your tailstock, and it's threaded for my particular chucks, which is 1 1/4 8. So you just put the adapter in, attach a second chuck, and then you just chuck up the sacrificial, and when you bring this up, it's going to mate perfectly, and we'll have a good glue joint. So I'm just going to put a little glue and we'll just use the tailstock for our clamping pressure. And then that will attach that firmly to the blank, and we will wait for that to dry, and then I'll get into showing you the actual O-ring installation in the next segment. Well, we're back. Now, I've already taken the chuck off the sacrificial and got it out of the way, and I've actually turned the sacrificial round. And it's exactly the same diameter now as the inside diameter of the O-ring. Now, the advantage of doing it this way is I don't have to try to measure for the size of the O-ring and then cut a groove blind. By cutting the tenon down to the exact diameter of the O-ring, I can now use the tenon as a guide when I go to cut the groove for the O-ring. So we'll do that now. And I just use a parting tool. I know the O-ring is 3/16 of an inch thick. So I'm just going to start with the 1/8 inch groove where I know the inside diameter is. And I know exactly what depth I need. It needs to be about half the thickness of the O-ring, which would be about 3/32. And I have about a 1/64 of an inch to go. And then I'll need to get another 1/16 of an inch, but I'm not going to try to do it all at once. I'm just going to sneak up on it, and I'll increase the width of the groove. And then it's just a matter of doing this until you get exactly the right thickness. And when you get exactly the right thickness, you need to have to press the O-ring into the groove so you get a good solid fit. Because we won't be gluing the O-ring in. We're just going to, the pressure of being inside the groove is what's going to hold it in place. And that's pretty much exactly what I want. You just cut the groove, insert your O-ring, and now you're set. You can put your O-ring away until you get the bowl shaped. And we're not going to go ahead and finish this bowl. That's not the purpose of the video. It's just to show you how to cut this groove and how to make sure that you get it in exactly the right place. And now you can go ahead from this position, turn the outside of the bowl, flip it around in the chuck it up on your tenon, and turn the inside. And when you get done, you just cut the tenon off and just sand the bottom smooth. And that's going to be about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click that big red subscribe button in the lower right hand corner, and I'll see you on the next video.